Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a pendulum. I'm sure we've seen these all over the place in metaphysical stores and you're wondering what the heck is a pendulum and how does it work? Well, I am going to go through a little tutorial with you with a pendulum. This is my pendulum. I call him Copper. He is made out of copper and he called to me. So know when you're picking out a pendulum, you're going to see a lot of pendulums hanging on a board or in a cupboard that you can see through. Go with the one that speaks to you. There's no right or wrong way to pick a pendulum, but the way that I recommend is the one that speaks to you is the one that you should choose. Now, you can use anything as a pendulum. Like I could use this rose quartz necklace as a pendulum. It just has to be weighted at the bottom. Remember how back in the old days they used to tie a safety pin to a string and put it over someone's stomach to see if they were having a boy or a girl? It's kind of like what they do with the pendulum right now. The pendulum can answer yes or no questions. The pendulum can, if you're using a board that I do not have with me right now, but there is a board that has yes or no, maybe, and not a good question. So know that you can use a board with a pendulum. You can take the pendulum to the grocery store, put it over food to say, is this food good for me? Will this food nourish me? Am I allergic to this food? You can use this as medication. Will this medication help me or not? If you have Reiki energy or any type of healing energy, you can go ahead and bless the medication, bless the food, bless whatever you're going to bless, and then run the pendulum again and see if it helped. Now, for Reiki people or Reiki practitioners, people use the pendulum for their chakras to see if they're open or shut. And when they go in a circle, you can tell that the chakra is open. And you run over each of the chakras, and right now my throat may be a little bit closed, but not all the way. So you can run through all the chakras and see if you are opened or closed. You can do this for yourself, and you can do this if you're a practitioner and you just want to check your work is what I do. I use what's called biosyn scanning, so I can tell if a chakra is open or closed by just running my left hand over the chakra. But a lot of practitioners can't do that, and they will use a pendulum. So don't freak out if your healing practitioner uses a pendulum at the beginning or the middle or the end of a session, because that's the way they can tell if the chakra is open. Now, if the chakra is open, it will spin in a circle. If it's closed, it will go back and forth. And it's amazing how it works. So when you get your pendulum, I would be interested to hear from you to see how you aligned your chakras with these or saw if they were opened or closed. Now, for most people, they just use these for questions, like yes or no questions. First things first, you're going to pick your pendulum. You're going to soak it overnight in the moon. You're not going to get this too much wet. If it's dirty, you can use like a little damp cloth to wash it off, but put it in the moon overnight. And then what I do, and a lot of other people that I know, is they kind of play with it for a day or so to get your energy into it so that you get to know the pendulum and the pendulum gets to know you. What the pendulum does is read your energy, which is in your field, that it picks up on the vibration of the outside world, brings it into your field so that you can have questions for yourself. So what you're first going to do when you use a pendulum is hold it up and you're going to say, show me a yes. And the pendulum will do something. It will either go back and forth, it will go around in a circle, or it would stand still. Now for me, show me a yes, it's going around in a circle. So then you're going to go back to neutral, and then you're going to say, show me my no. And it should be different from the yes. So it should either go back and forth, around in a circle, whatever your no is, but make note of that. So my no is back and forth. So I know that if I ask a question and it goes around in a circle, my answer is yes. If I ask a question and it goes back and forth, I know my answer is no. Now, when you ask questions, you have to have questions that are very specific. Make sure when you're asking your questions, you're not asking some random thing that has a bunch of answers to that, because what your pendulum will literally do is stand there and just like vibrate. Like I am shaking it right now with my hand because I want to show you what it will do. but normally it would just go da-da-da-da-da, and it won't do anything. So you know it's a bad question. So you have to phrase it in the way that the universe can understand, that the energy can understand, that the pendulum can understand. So stick to simple questions like today, what I do a lot when I teach people how to work with a pendulum is I say my name is Diane, and it should go in a circle. And then I'll bring it back to neutral, and then I'll say my name is Cucamonga. And it says, no, your name is not Cucamonga, so we know that that's a bad thing. So practice asking questions that are yes and no, very clear questions. Don't ask two questions at once. If you have more than one question, that's okay, but ask them separately, okay? A lot of people, you will see that they will hold out the pendulum maybe as far as their arm and ask the questions that way. Is this the right way to ask a pendulum? And it says yes. Is there a wrong way to ask a question to the pendulum? And it says yes. So it's very interesting. Pendulum work is very, very interesting. Also, too, when you're reading a tarot spread or even oracle spread, whatever, and you want to get more information, this card keeps showing up a lot in my videos today. If you want to ask a question about the specific position of the card, or if the card is talking about a person, place, or thing, you can ask the question of is this part of the reading, and hold it over the card, right? Is this part of the reading talking about me or not? And it will say yes or no. So obviously this is talking to me, and it is a judgment card, which means spiritual elevation, which I am in the process of doing right now. And that's why I get motivated to do these videos when I'm in the process of elevating, when I'm in the process of attuning myself to a new energy, which I am. I am studying a different deck than this right now. And you can go back a video and it will talk about the Rider-Waite Tarot deck in depth. But this right now for me, judgment, I know it looks kind of funky, but the judgment is all about resurrection. It's all about listening to your guide. It's all about listening to your guidance. It's all about elevating yourself to the next level, which I am in the process of doing right now. So I'm not surprised that the card said, yes, it's a good card for me. And it is talking about me. Now sometimes in spreads, either an oracle or tarot as well, you'll get a bunch of people in there, and you'll have to figure out who these people are if you can't intuitively figure out who they are, and the client has no idea who they are. So you'll run the pendulum over that and say, is this Ralph, or is this Joe, or is this talking about my kids or whatever? It will answer yes or no for you. So don't be afraid of using this pendulum. This pendulum is a blast to use. I love doing it. And I pull this pendulum out in, like I say, the strangest spots. Like I said, I used it to pick my mattress. I used it to pick clothing sometimes. But most of all, it's for decision making. Should I go to this school or that school? Should I take this job or this job? A clue that the pendulum might need a little bit more help is if it does a lot of wavering. That means your questions aren't concise enough, or the pendulum does not quite know how to answer it. So what you can do in that instance is you can write the question out on a piece of paper. If you have 5 questions, leave a little bit of room, write the next question, leave a little bit of room, and write the next question. Take your pendulum and go over each question very close to the piece of paper, and it will answer yes or no for that question. Now, the cool thing about it is the pendulum can't lie when it's with a piece of paper or on a board, because it's picking up the vibration of the energy of the words and not your vibration. Like sometimes we can be very hopeful and we want the answer to be yes, and sometimes we can influence the pendulum. Not always, but sometimes we can. So when you're writing things out, the pendulum can't tell you anything but the truth, because it's written and it only picks up the vibrations of the words. So that's just a kind of a little tidbit that you can use with your pendulum. Also, too, pendulum work is very fun when you're doing rituals, because rituals as in new moon rituals, like, let me have this energy come into my life. Is it coming to my life now? Yes or no? And it will answer yes or no for you. Is it time to sage? Different things you'll find the pendulum works for. So don't be afraid of the pendulum. I know people think it's kind of woo-woo, but it's really not. It's really a cool tool to have. It's called the divination tool. So cards are divination tools. Also, just anything that you do that is out of the ordinary. I have a wheel that I use with stones. That's a divination tool. It's just different ways to get in touch with your spirit guides, your higher ascended masters, your angels. So I wish you luck with picking out a beautiful, beautiful pendulum for you. And then keeping it too in a case that is dark colored. You don't want to keep your pendulums together if you have more than one. I have never found the need to have more than one, but some people do, and that's okay too. Keep it in a pouch to keep it safe, to keep it away from all the other energies that you got going on, but keep it in a pouch, and then when you're ready to use it, just pull it out of the pouch, hold it, and say, I asked for the truth only in white light. And that's it. Hold it for a minute and then start asking your questions. Have a good time with this pendulum because it's really a fun divination tool. So I wish you well and happy pendulums.